Gotta cover up my eyebrows. Well, well, well. I thought we might chat about the snow. Hello, hello, hello. I don't know if I got any volume. If there's anybody out there, do we have any audio? Audio. Hello, Salty Badger. Do we have any audio? Oh, sound is good. Okay. I don't have I've got a little thing here that could be probably set up to give me more or less audio. I don't know. Well, I'm sure you had plenty of snow today, or we certainly had our share of it. Yeah, you saw me today, Salty. I had to go take that baby for a rip. I didn't set my camera up, and my security camera has I've got it set up in like the economic mode where unless it's right in the middle of the capture area, it it turned off just as I went to take off. uh, Thank you very much. I appreciate you checking out the video there. Looks like my eyes are red. Oh, they are. I was doing something. I think it was, I don't know if it's jalapeno or whatever, but I remember wiping my eyes like this right after I'd done it. I was taking some stems or whatever. And my gosh, you talking about the fumes? Oh, no, it wasn't that. It was a cream that has some stuff in it. You know, an old diabetic guy has to have stuff like this right here. An old diabetic guy has to have some for dry skin. And in the wintertime, dry skin is more prevalent, of course, than in the summer. Well, thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Did not know. We waited and waited. Did not know if I'd be able to get a signal. And it probably will go off again. It was snowing here at 8 o'clock. And during the snow, the signal was so poor. I didn't. In fact, I see something happening right now over there. I don't know what it is. Oh, I don't know what that is. Anyhow, we got through the day. What I done yesterday, I fixed a big pot of chili. Yeah, I was on yesterday. Did my chili with Old Mack. Well, I had plenty of chili left over, and I had me a bowl of chili. And my God, today was even better than it was yesterday. How's your health been? I've listened to your voice sounds strong, and but your personal evaluation of how you're going, how you feel like you're proceeding on with your health care and you're responding well. Uh, I uh, I saw Dave today over in Australia. He made it back home, and he was tired. I think he said he run about 1,000 kilometers a day, and that's a good chunk of riding. If anybody can knock out 600 miles or so, I think that was probably 600 miles is probably up the area. I was riding a chopper, and you know, even though you're young, 600 miles on a chopper, it tears your kidneys up. But we were young, and obviously I'm still alive. Oh man, you've got the spirit to carry you through. You've got a lot of people that has your best interest at heart, and so we're hoping that you know you catch the wave, man, and you ride it on up to the good life again. Um, I've had friends of mine that had well, I had a 26-year-old supervisor friend. He just come out of college, got a job with the company. He moved up to supervisor. He just got his promotion to supervisor, and he had an aneurysm in the back of his head, and he was gone for 5 or 6 weeks. When he come back, he had two tubes in the back of his head going into little jugs down on his back, and he, God, he had quite a struggle. And the new job he got was really not physically demanding, but it was mentally exhausting. You know, when you've got that many, I think in those days, your first line supervisor had about 40 employees, um, 40 or so employees. Second line, you might have 300 or 400 employees. But he had a lot of responsibility, and unfortunately for him, he never was able to maintain, even though he's really young, he wasn't able to maintain the mental level needed to perform that job. He he went back. He left the company, went back doing something that he was a rancher or something like that. He worked on a ranch. But we're hoping a success for you. Well, it says there's two people in here, so one of them is in disguise. One is hiding out over there. You don't have to worry now. You can come onto my page and nobody can see you. I'm the only one that's on the screen, so I've got the ugly covered. So you don't have to worry about popping in here, you know, and like, oh my God, I don't look good tonight. Well, nobody cares. This ain't no beauty contest. Uh, Somebody said yesterday, I believe it was, they said, we don't come on here, Old Mac, just because you're sexy. I love that. Uh, no sex appeal here. Well, I had a nice chat while our signal was gone on the computer. I had a nice chat with my son up in, he lives in Kirkland, Washington, and he was bringing me up to date on things that's going on up there, you know, the weather. And they have what they call these waves of storms that comes in. I mean, I lived there for 40 years. These atmospheric rivers, they call them, just one storm after another. And we were up there for a month and it never quit raining. Sick. Oh, Angelique got so sick and I got sick. And uh, it was just, it was awful. And he told me they haven't had much of a break uh, since I was there. But it's winter there. I mean, you know, I never expected to go up there and be sunny every day. Now, I know I looked ahead in my weather, and February, we got 70-degree days ahead of us in February. You know how down here in the southeast, the worst thing that can happen around springtime start elevating the temperature because, like in 2011, April the 27th, the temperature kept rising and rising. Next thing you know, we had temperatures in April in the 90s. And then just sitting right up above us is Minnesota and Wisconsin, and they were in the 30s. And that cold air come pushing down the Mississippi Valley, and it hit our warm air down there by Biloxi and started swirling, and it rolled all the way up through here, and it started. Some of our tornadoes are on the ground for 68 miles on the ground, killing and killing and killing. We had 54 tornadoes on the ground at one time on April the 27th, 54 on the ground at one time. Over 300 tornadoes in a 24-hour period of time. So, hell yes, we don't want to see it to get really too hot in the spring, because you get them cold air and hot air coming together, and you're going to get some swirling. It's not going to be good. I saw today, this morning. I wanted to go. What you had? I think you had a live event. I believe I saw. It might have been yesterday's event, but I did see something that was going to be on, and I was looking forward because it said, I believe we used the word premiere, and then of course our signal was gone. So I hope that turned out good for you. I had Angelique tonight to make me a grilled cheese sandwich. When it's hot, when the sandwich is nice and hot and it's got all that good butter on the toast, and oh, you bite into that on a cold night, that warms you up so good. That's what I had for supper, grilled cheese sandwich. Chili for lunch. I thought I would come on here tonight if the signal's good. It didn't come on. I couldn't get on till 10:25. I was hoping maybe we'd link up with some of the stragglers from some of the other nets, like some of the duct tape stuff, and maybe pick up some of the because right now it's in the morning time over in Australia, getting close to noon over there, heading towards noon. 5 p.m. Yeah, 5 p.m. Yeah, I saw it was a premiere coming, but I didn't get a chance to see it. My phone has been even bad lately. I don't know what it is right now. Let me see. Oh, I've got one bar. I got one little bar up there. Now it just flickered on 2 bars. I don't have much of a signal. No, I understand. OC is back at home. Now, the only thing I get my news about OC through either Frogzilla or Rob B. Rod B. He keeps up to date on it, and so I haven't. But the prognosis is good for him. My sister, I think she's going to have surgery. She's an open heart surgery. She's got to change she has a defibrillator thing in her heart that keeps her running. I think she's going to have to change out the batteries on it. I don't know what the procedure is on it, but they have to go in there and make a little incision and change the batteries out. It'd be nice if they had a battery that would actually work on body temperature, in other words, that it would continue as long as you had body temperature to work. So you put them in and they'd stay in until as long as your body was warm. I went to a seminar in Orlando, Florida in 2011, the same year we had the tornado outbreak. And at the seminar was Bill Gates and a whole bunch of Bill Jobs, not Bill, what was his name? Steve Jobs. There was a whole bunch of guys at the electronic seminar in Orlando. This was a pretty good event. I was paid to go to be a part of it. They talked about battery technology, and the representative from the Microsoft company, it was Bill Gates. He was actually the spokesman, the lead spokesman, but he had his team there. Bill Gates spoke about the battery technology, but he spoke more about technology than specifically about the battery. He was saying from 1940 to 1953, 13 years, he said all of our technology we had created and the, like transistor and a whole bunch of things that was coming out new was like a iceberg in the ocean. And by 1953, there was a tip sticking up out of the ocean, and that was all of the total knowledge we had garnered. But then he showed us the knowledge that was coming was all that mass that was down here, and he broke it down in segments. And there's a one segment down there was about the batteries. And finally he turned it over to one of his team members, and he started talking about the Volvo Corporation. Volvo started building, and the Volvo Corporation and Mack Truck Company started building. They built a Volvo truck. The material in the cab of the truck, the doors and the hood and all of the cab and everything was made up of a special formulated, if you look at photo cells or solar panels, the stuff that makes up the solar panel, the whole body was literally a solar panel. It converted not necessarily the light, but it converted frequencies, a squeaking wheel. Oh, buddy, if you have to drop out, I'll talk, and when I look over and see you're gone, I'll understand. My son works for Volvo right now. My son, he's been with them for quite a while. The body, like a loud car with loud mufflers, that makes vibrations. Vibrations can be converted to energy, and this absorbent material would convert the different sounds, whether they be ultra so high frequency the human ear couldn't hear them, but the body could pick up the frequency in the waves. And the vibration from squeaking wheels and slamming doors and truck tires and all the sounds that we have. If you ever stood beside of a freeway, it's a very noisy place. And those noises are being converted to energy. And the truck had been in operation, that was in 2011, for 2 or 3 years. But all of a sudden, everything died because there's huge corporations that makes batteries for your remote control and your telephone and everything we got, my camera, everything, the batteries everywhere. Now, they're not going to give up on their batteries, Duracell and Ever Ready and all that. They got these lobbyists in Washington, D.C. who go, oh, hell no. I don't think we'll be going to be doing that. We're going to continue making batteries. So that industry is going to hold on to that old technology. But the fact is that they've got these technologies already. and it'd be a matter of implementing them and putting them in manufacturing techniques where they can mass produce them at a reasonable price. So there's hope for us in the future about battery technology as far as all the devices we have that runs on batteries. So that's the reason I was making a remark about it. Like, it'd be nice if they had a pacemaker or something that just the body heat would keep the thing operating and running, like insulin pumps and stuff like that. But we can't think too far in the future, because if you wasn't around, you was probably too young to ever know this. But in 1940s and 1948 to be exact, Dick Tracy, a cartoon guy in the Sunday Funnies, he had a wristwatch on his hand and he could talk to the chief. And he could look on the screen and he could see the chief's face on his arm. That was 1948. Cell phone had not been invented yet. Transistor was not readily available. There were so many things that made that impossible. Hey, there's my buddy right there, Rod B. So yeah, I'm live, buddy. I'm live. So they visionaries, those people envision things like that in 1948. Dick Tracy comics, they were so far ahead of their time, he could talk to the chief. And look, my sisters, all of my family's got swatches. They got these things that they could do all their texting. Yeah, go ahead. Come in, Tokyo. Somebody say, let me see. I didn't. Oh, hey, Rod. I called you Rod. Robin. I said Rod, but I meant to say Robin. Pardon me, buddy. I'm an old guy, so you can't fault me for making mistakes. Yeah, so those people that had these envision. Well, when we was kids, you had all of these space shows where Buck Rogers, he would get out of the space capsule, and the smoke, you see the smoke come from the engine come curling around him, yeah, a lot of stuff that was envisioned in cartoons come to be reality. Yeah, I said Rod. Because we were just talking about Rod there a while ago. Salty and I was talking about Rod. So when you popped up, I seen the name over. I didn't even look at it. I went. The Starlink, just like in anything else, until they get 100,000 of those up there, where they can swarm, where they're all communicating, and you put up a grid. You got a grid that covers all of North America. Then you could say you've got a rather big footprint, and everybody would have a chance to get logged in. But if you're not, the company used to give us these. We used to have a little suitcase that had a phone in it, and this phone, you had to stop and take it out of the trunk and open the trunk up, and you could bring your antenna up. And if you had a little, it's called a Capillarian data set. If you had a Capillarian data set in your briefcase, you could take and look on December, or look on January the 10th, 2025, and you could see where the satellites were, and you say, oh, if I was 78 miles to the north, I'd have a footprint. So you'd calculate where you needed to be, so you'd be in the footprint of the satellite. Our military satellites are up really high in orbit. And hello, Lucy. But if you didn't have your Capillarian data set, you would have no idea where to put the antenna, because you did not know, because since the Earth is moving and it's in an elliptical orbit and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, once they get enough of those up there, and they, like almost everything, anything that goes up can come down. And if you don't keep all them things fueled up, or if you don't keep them to where they can stay high enough in orbit, you can just keep sending more and more up. Pretty soon, though, nobody would be able to afford to even have the Starlink because the price would be so high. Yeah, if you had a signal finder, but if you're just a guy out there running along and you want to answer your phone, it's bad enough to have to stop the car, open the trunk, and get the suitcase out, bring your antenna up, look at your data set, and see where you put the antenna to pick up the signal. Or if you know tomorrow at 1 p.m., the path for 6 minutes is going to be over Ogden, Utah, you had your ass up in Ogden, Utah, and you'd be in alignment to be able to work the satellite to get your messages. We had a thing in those days called TSO. A TSO had to go to the Pentagon, and you had to send these TSO reports in. They get really mad if you didn't send your TSO up, and in a timely manner. But back in them days, we was living in what they call the Cold War, where everybody is watching everybody. In fact, we had a group out of Washington D.C. called Quasar, and Quasar's job was to watch us, to make sure that we didn't make no mistakes. Well, we can just do the best we can, Robin, with this system we got here. I wasn't even going to make an attempt, but I wanted to talk today about the snow. And you might have saw my little video. I took my truck out today, and hell, it rides good. I run up the driveway, and I rode the county road. I just made a big loop. Anyhow, that's the first time I've ridden in snow here. I've ridden a regular motorcycle in snow, and that's not very comfortable. But a trike, oh man, the only thing is when you go into a curve on a track, the front wheel will slide. So you got to put a little body English on it. Because them back wheels will just push you through a curve. But if you throw a little body English on it, you can tilt it left and right. Whatever you got to do. And Lizzie, Happy New Year's, happy 2025 to you, and I'm hoping your life is going good for you. Well, it's 32 or lower right now. Yeah, she's dropping down now. I guess we're going to have a lot of freezing tomorrow. I have to look over and make sure my signal's still good. No, I haven't been drinking, but I do have the hiccups. But I will take me a glass, a swallow of water. I'm glad things are happening good for you. Things are going good for me. I get up in the morning and I feel really good about myself. And I didn't do it alone. I mean, You got to have a little hip to get up out of the bed. You have to dig deep in your inner strength to make them old legs raise you back up one more time. Thank God I'm on my feet again. I got cold beer in there too. I should have before I started this got me a cold beer, but I don't know how long we're going to be able to last. We're going to stay on for a little while, hoping some of them Aussies will come in here. I think they might all be up on Dave's channel. I worked with the Minuteman missile crew in Lewistown, Montana, and one of the finest men that I met, that was, my opinion, one of the finest men as far as his ability to perform his job, was an American Indian, and he was a steel worker. And he could walk the scaffolding 180 feet off the ground. I have seen him take two 2x12s and nail the 2x12s together, and lay them across the deep hole. And he reach over and pick up his miller, what they used to call them things, the power pack for the MIG wire machine, Tweco, yeah, the Tweco whip, Tweco, that was a brand. Throw the Tweco over his shoulder, grab the power head, and he would walk over across to the other side of the silo. Now that 2x12 just nailed together, and he'd walk across there. Hey, Frogzilla. Oh, I'm glad to see Frog in here. He'd walk across over there and plug his Tweco whip in and start welding. I'm talking about this guy. It ain't because he had courage. I didn't admire it just because he had courage. He had great natural abilities. He was a big guy, and he was a hard-working guy. I think he probably worked harder than any other member of that crew, because that's just the way he was. He was just sort of driven. He was motivated to stay at it. I used to drink beer with him in Lewistown, Montana. We'd go down and we'd drink beer. Now, you got to be careful. Back in a long time ago, they didn't let Indians sit at the bar. In Montana, an Indian could not sit at the bar. You can ask some of the old timers. But Larry's one of the good ones. You got 14 days to put a complete missile in the ground. If you got a slacker in your crew and you can't meet your bar chart, that sets productivity back. I mean, it sets everything all the way from the Pentagon down to be on your back, wanting to know how come we don't have these different birds in the ground. And so you always had to write all kinds of reports. So if you got a guy that pulls his weight, you can get out there. And we have a thing in the union called hum time. Hum time, if you're on a 14-day cycle and you finish the bird in 12 days, you get 2 days of hum time. You get paid without hitting a lick of a snake. Any iron worker, all your electricians, all those people, they like to earn money without working. And they would work really hard. When they first come onto a hole, man, they'd string 6 miles of wire, and they would do all the stuff. We were up on what they call the top end. When we got through, we smoke test the whole silo. If we got through the smoke test, then we went through took us like 24 hours to go through a complete checkoff list of everything to meet the requirements of the contract. Um, we tried our best to make sure everybody got home time. When we got to Missouri, we took our crew from Malmstrom Air Force Base down to Whiteman Air Force Base, and we got down there. We was like, I mean, we were moving. Our team in 1979, the Air Force awarded us the first zero defect. In other words, we put a complete 9 birds in the ground. That's called a flat. We put 9 Minuteman threes in the ground. Zero defect. No rework, no back orders, no none of that stuff. Everything click, click, click. So in July the 4th of 1979, they gave us a huge picnic out there at Lima 6. Lima 6 was over by Appleton City, Missouri. And oh my gosh, that was pretty neat. They brought out catered everything, and yeah, it was a really good event. Oh, we had a hum time. It was like an obligation to beat the other teams, and I had a lot of good friends that boy they tried. You know, I had a buddy. It was the hardest working friend of mine, and his team was so lazy. He got a bunch of old. I mean, not really. I mean, it was always QA was always writing his side up, and because he didn't have a productive team. But up on the end, up on the electrical end of it, it's a lot cleaner than he was back on the. He was in the stage of where they were building the lunch tube. The lunch tube is welded with track welders and stuff, and they had to put the lunch tube liner in the hole. So there was always room for error there. With electricians, the wires never fail. The wires are, you do what they call a mega ohm check. You got a instrument you put around the wires, and you can measure the ohms of resistance and all that stuff. Um, and you got a chart that you go by, and it almost nothing ever can go wrong. Um, you can have failed motors. Like for instance, we start up do a smoke test, and we'll have a pump somewhere that's not pumping nitrogen, or it's not pumping freon, or it's not pumping whatever needs to be pumped. And that's a failure, not in us, but that means we have to rework that pump. We got to go in and take the pump out. So that cuts in on your hum time. And see what our crew did when they took a motor out of the box, they would run that motor. They had a little old device they could set up, and it would be like a go no go, and they could hook it up to it. And when they run it through its checkoff, they knew the fills and the armature and brushes and all that stuff was good, and it was going to work. That's what happens when you got a good crew. They think ahead, because you got a crew down below putting the pump in, and you got the electricians coming right behind and wiring everything up. If they put you a bad pump down there and they have no way of checking it, see, then all of a sudden you got to send a team down there to change all that out. So we eliminated that problem. And I'm going to tell you another little thing we did. Now, you guys that are into scientific stuff, you can look this up for yourself. So I got out there in Harlowtown, Montana. I'm a brand new guy, man. I'm so new. I've been out maybe 5 or 6 months on the team. And so the construction manager says to me, I want you to drop a plumb bob down from 0 azimuth down 160 feet down, and I want you to put me a standoff a standoff. It's a new something they're adding to the silo. But he said, I got to have that standoff so I can put some equipment on the standoff. And so I said, how do you find out where how to locate it? He said, you got to use the plumb bob. So he said, you go over to the warehouse and they'll give you a plumb bob. So I go there and get a plumb bob, and it was all, they've been using it for 15, 18 years. When I got there, the project was 17 years old. And so I was going out there to drop the plumb bob from zero azimuth. The silo is a circle, and so you got zero azimuth. And so I was going to drop it down. The problem being is they said the bracket down there at 150 feet or whatever was mislocated. And they said they wanted me to drop the plumb bob down, and if it was mislocated, they was going to cut it off and relocate it and put it correctly. The Air Force had complained that we had mislocated a bracket. So I'm going out there to do the job. And so I got to thinking, I said, whoa, wait a minute, whoa. Now, if you hang a plumb bob down, it will give you a degree of perpendicularity. It will show you how perpendicular something is, but there's a limitation to it. You have a plumb bob, it only has a high degree of accuracy around 10, 15 feet. And after 15 feet, exponentially, the error becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. I'll give you an example. Up in Washington, D.C., there's a pendulum hanging from the ceiling of this building, and this is the official place where spring occurs, summer, solstice, fall, winter, all the seasons. And when that little plumb bob swings out to this point, because the earth is rotating and the earth shifts, and so the plumb bob will move on that little pointer down there. And I said, I called this guy's name was Robert Gillespie. I called Robert Gillespie, the construction manager. I said, Robert, I can't use a 150-foot plumb bob. He said, we've been doing this for 17 years. I said, well, why are you removing the bracket? He said, the Air Force said it was mislocated. I said, bring me up a record. Show me when this was installed. You'll find it. You pull it up on the microfiche. And he told me what date it was when they installed it originally. I said, that was installed in the springtime. And I'm over in the winter solstice or whatever. I said, the Earth's arc is going to be a lot different. That plumb bob will not come on it'll be off. He said, you'll have to prove that to me. I go, well, come on out here. Well, I'll do it. And we dropped it down there, and sure enough, it was off. The bracket was off. He said, well, the Air Force already told us the bracket was off. You can't hang nothing from a plumb bob and get the degree of accuracy you would need when you're lining up something. So they had to come up with your GPS, which had not been invented yet when I was there. They was only getting the understanding of a three-dimensional alignment. And so we said, well, we can actually form we have what's called a sextant. We can pick the North Star. We can tell you exactly the alignment to north. And then we started to come up with ways. And I said, this way they would be fixed. No matter what the Earth is doing, it will always be correct. The bracket will be located correctly. And he called me back. He ran it through the engineers, and they said, oh, my God, we missed this 17 years ago because we've been shooting a damn thing for 17 years with a plumb bob. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have been reading this stuff over there. I'm just sitting here just talking. Anyhow, that was just one of my little little things that I got to do when I was there. And it all come from the day I went to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. when I was 16 years old. And I got to see the pendulum hanging there. And it showed us how they could tell what season we're in. There's a grid down there, and the plumb bob follows that thing as the earth is rotating and moving and wobbling on its axis. It all shows up on the end of the plumb bob down there. It's a big area, and that's only hung from 80 foot. And you hang it from 150 feet in the area, it even gets bigger. You get a lot of movement in the pendulum that long. Um, make sure my signal's still on. I love that was I went to the top of the Smith. I went to the top of the Washington Monument and went up there and looked out the little window, and I loved that. I was there in 1956 when I was 16 years old, and yeah, I really enjoyed that going to the Smithsonian Institute. It was pretty laid back in the days. You could wander all over DC, and there was never any. You could take a little trolley and ride the trolley in Washington D.C. and go see the Capitol, go over to Lincoln Memorial, and see all that stuff. I like a revolver. You give me a 38. Reason being, the ammo was really cheap. I got some good little handguns. Um, I don't have them laying right here, but the reason I like a revolver is they don't never misfire unless you got bad ammo. They shoot good. They're very accurate. Um, I used to carry a 357 Magnum Security 6, a Ruger, and that was really good. It was so deadly accurate. Um, the reason I don't need no, I've had 44s, I had 460s, 460. That's a big gun. That's about that barrel about that long. Big old gun. Shoots big ammo. Um, all that is just show. Yeah, it's pretty. I 500 Smith, 500, yeah, Smith and Wesson, yeah, 500 Magnum. Shoot it one hand. Yeah, I've shot that thing a lot, but that's all show. That's really pretty. I don't want to fire a bullet. Let's just say some little old pencil neck sucker comes into my house with the intent of robbing me, and I catch him, and I shoot the sucker, and the bullet goes through 3 or 4 walls and kills Angelique. I want that bullet to go in and bust his body up and not come out the other side. I want him to balloon up real good and bleed out. I don't want him to have a bullet go all the way through him and take out half of my plumbing and all my electrical and all in one shot. It's pretty, it's impressive, and makes you feel good when you got a big gun. You know damn well you got a big penis. Everybody knows that. That's a given. The bigger the gun, the bigger the penis. I I do like a hollow point. I like something that will splatter and I hope I never have to kill anybody. But what I'm saying is I don't want to accidentally kill my dog either. Shoot some. Oh, you say yeah, but you can just shoot him in the leg. Well, when you're nervous and scared and there's somebody in your house, you're not cool like Rambo. Like yeah, I'll aim for his ankle. Ah, you're gonna shoot at center mass, and you're hoping you don't kill your dog in the process. Another thing, shooting a gun inside of a house. Oh, now you don't want to get involved in that. The reason I got a lot of handguns, automatics and stuff like, all your Glocks. I don't think there's ever been a Glock that I haven't had. Cambers, all those, they're pretty guns. I've got friends of mine have bought Cambers, and they've been in their gun safe, and they don't take them out because it devaluates them. If you take one out, go out to chamber up around and shoot it, you devaluated your gun. Pay $2,200 for a nice weapon, and then the guy handed me a Desert Eagle, a 50 cal Desert Eagle, and I shot it a few times. And man, he made me a sweet deal on the thing, and I thought, no, $4 or $5 for every bullet that you shoot, it don't even make sense. I like going out here and just shooting. I used to make a lot of videos of me shooting. Lots of videos. I've got videos of 150,000 hits, of just, if you pull out a gun and go out here and shoot, you can make all your motorcycle content, but before the day's up, you'll have 8 or 10,000 hits, or 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, just from shooting a gun. I like riding a motorcycle. That head be like moving like this, No, you're gonna try to bust him up in here, on the movies, you see them take 5 or 6 rounds. That's in the movies. Like, yeah, them old potheads, man, they get all hopped up. You can't kill them. Well, that ain't true. No matter how much you're hopped up, you're going to go down. Oh, sure, they're going to have a lot of adrenaline flowing and everything, but see, you bust them lungs and they can't breathe. They'll gurgle for a little bit, and blood be spewing out every time the breath moving in and out. And then they'll bleed out real fast. You get them in the liver, man. You bust the liver, and I ain't been too many people survive a liver shot. They have been people been shot through the liver and survive. Yeah, I'm not saying that. But if you got a hollow point that goes off inside the liver, it's going to make it like Swiss cheese. And that wouldn't be pretty either. Well, I can't believe how good my signal's still holding up. Yeah, I had a brother. I still have him. He's still alive. He was evacuated out over there by the DMZ in a Huey gunship. And they'd barely got off the ground. They was, I think he said 12 or 1,400 feet up, and they got hit. They fired an RPG, and part of the shrapnel that hit the Huey went into his intestines, and they got him in the back of the hand. But then they crashed in the jungle, and he laid down there for 9 days, and he swelled up really bad. He had a terrible time with it. 101st Airborne came in and rescued him, and he almost went under on that one. Poisoned his system up really bad. You puncture him in intestines, and the human body can only take so much poison. And from what I understand, that ain't a good way of going either. I guess you scream and holler late into the night. Ugh. Oh, my stamina. Oh, man. And in the lung. Ooh, yeah. When I was young, I always had a fear of being stabbed with an ice pick because it don't leave much of an exit wound, and maybe somebody might even miss it, but you're laying there all bleeding out and everything, especially if they gut you with into your liver. and 2 or 3 little cuts into the liver there, and you ain't gonna have a lot of blood on your shirt or nothing, because your fat will seal it up pretty fast. If your blood sets up pretty fast, you may not even have much of a blood on your shirt, but they be checking you for vitals and miss that you've been stabbed in the liver. Yeah, a lot of people don't know what it's like for another human being to have went through things like you've done there. You'd have to walk a mile in your shoes to understand how lucky you are to be alive. Yeah, I've had some close calls in my life. I've been bitten by some snakes, let me tell you. We got big snakes here in my house that live here. I got videos of them right here under my desk, over 6 foot long. I got videos of them in the bathroom, over 6 foot long. I got videos of them in the kitchen, crawling across the range there, over 6 foot long, that big around, big old snakes, big snake. But I got bit. I got bit when I was in the military school. We were bivouacking on the Chattahoochee. They took my company went down on the Chattahoochee to bivouac, part of the training. And they got this big old snake. And the guy was playing, it was very big. The head was big as my hand, big old water moccasin, big snake. They was playing with it. And when I was going to get a hold of it, but unfortunately, it bit me in the hand. It bit me in this hand here. When it latched onto my hand, it broke all. I grabbed its neck and just pulled it off my hand, and it broke all them teeth. And we had to pick the teeth out of my hand. It broke them teeth off in my hand there, And I got so sick. They had to medevac me out from the Chattahoochee up to Pell City. Not Pell City, up to Camp Hill. I don't remember, Alexander City, maybe it was. Oh my God. God Almighty. But I tell you, you lived a scary life there, Frog. Oh yeah, so don't know kind of stuff a person can get into. What can happen to you. I had a little buddy. His name is Benny Kesterson, and Benny, he's dead now. Benny was from West Virginia. He lived just off US 19, about 30 miles north of Beckley, West Virginia, down on the river, on the New River, where the bridge is at, where everybody bungee cords off in it. Benny was a fighting fool. He come from a coal mining family. But Benny was one of them little guys, and we were all bigger people. And Benny would start trouble because he knew he had our backing. And he caused more trouble. He was one of them kind of little guys, like Napoleon sort of fellow, I knew he knew he had a good crew with him. We were the fighting engineers. Yeah. Oh, it's got insane now. You can't have a physical confrontation of anybody. There's lawsuits and not that I want to have any kind of physical confrontation of anybody, but in the old days, you didn't hesitate as much. Where you'd a situation came up and you could take and hit a guy if you done it just right. He didn't bother you. Where he got the point real fast. You didn't have to beat him and break his nose and but then people began to get mean, and started becoming more vicious in their fighting style, and they wouldn't just settle like two men, a couple of punches and it's all over with. They want to beat you down, and also sometimes you get jumped by a gang of multiple people, and then you're up shit creek without a paddle. Ninja. Old Benny one time, he said, we talked about all the different scraps that we got into, and he said, I'm surprised me and you ain't had it out. I said, well, you've never given me a reason to be that mad at you. And he said, I've always had a feeling that one of these days we're going to be like throwing down. And never did happen. But he had conjured in his mind, I think, of possibly one day maybe bringing me down a notch or two. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you my little. There, my little buddy. He's over. He's sound asleep. I used to work with a lot of iron workers when I was in construction. I found them guys to be quite hardy. They liked a good tussle. They wouldn't mind getting a few beers in them and go do a little fighting. Done a lot of fighting up in Montana and Wyoming, and the crew that did all the fighting, we took them down to Missouri. We took them in down there. They all moved down there to be a part of the team for what they call Wing Four, and we thought there'd be a lot of fighting down in Missouri, but they got down there and the law was so much different down in Missouri. I think it's a little bit more civilized. Up in Montana, it was still mano a mano, two guys will work it out. So a guy gets a black eye or maybe a nose bent over. You notice my nose is bent. Look right here. Wow. See, it's kind of got a little, it's got a wow to it. That was some joker, he probably hit me in the head. I got a pretty good sized nose, so it's a pretty good target. You'd have to hit me real hard to make it bleed, but once you did bleed, it was bad. Sure, that I think when you're kind of like a ramrod in a crew, you got a little bit of authority with the crew, but then when you get outside, away from the crew, these same guys that have to cow to you on the job, you get out there, I'm sure they conjure up, I ever get you outside, one of these days I'm gonna knock you down. I'm gonna take you down a notch or two. But I'm sure they conjure up stuff like that. I was always too busy having fun. Up in Montana, they have a religious group in Montana. They were called the Dunkards. They're like the Mennonites or like the various European religion. I think they were called the Dunkards. I may be wrong. It might not have been the Dunkards. I don't want to miss. I don't. What they would do if you found out and you got connected up right, they would bring into their homes, and they wanted to change the bloodline in their family because there was too many of them kin to one another. They'd bring new bloodlines in. I can't remember. I'm sure it's the Dunkards was what that group was called. Well, I found out about it, and so I got over there. They arranged it so I go and meet the right person. And he said, "You're here for one of two reasons." He said, "A coat or a good evening." I said, "I'm here for a coat." And they made the best hand stitched these sheep herder coats that had sheep lined inside, skin on the outside. Oh my God, the buttons were handcrafted buttons. So I got me one of those coats made. And when they sent me back to the home office, I wore that into work. And my boss said to me, so he could never go, he couldn't be assigned out in the field. They had they didn't have no need for him. He was just like one of those gatekeeper kind of bosses. He wasn't a worker. And the guy said, "I want that coat." I said, "You can't have my coat." And he said, he reached in his pocket and brought out a big wad of money, big. And he said, "I'm going to count some of these over here." And he said, "When I hit the right number, the coat's mine." He said, "All you got to do is just pick it up." And I did. I sold him my coat that day. I sold him my coat for a tidy profit. Well, it's looking like only, well, this is Friday night. Maybe everybody's out partying. What do you think? Everybody's out probably, oh my gosh, we used to have the best Friday night parties. So I didn't get off to midnight on Friday night. By the time I got home, there'd be a big crowd of people already there. And we had fondue and do all kinds of stuff. I remember that old saying, "I see," said the blind man. Yeah, yeah, we had some interesting parties, and some of them had even more. Some people really, they really put on the dog there. I had a friend of mine. His wife was an airline stewardess. Hello there, desert outlaw. Coleman Cooler Jungle Juice. Uh, y'all, we've been just talking here, and we left. Well, Badger said he's getting tired. He's kind of like riding a wave of being high and being low, and just trying to keep it all gathered up. Jungle Juice in a Coleman Cooler. Hey, even at our age now, you got to keep in mind, we you folks did not invent partying. I'm gonna tell you, you youngsters did not invent partying. We knew how to do that. Y'all didn't invent sex either, as much as y'all think you did. Sure, y'all do stuff now that old folks didn't do back in them days, but not much. Yeah, we're just talking about having a cold beer, but I'm not going to have one because about the time I get my beer open, I'd lose my signal and then I'd be sitting here drinking by myself. And I don't like to drink by myself. I can, but I don't like to. I prefer to have company of others when I'm enjoying a cold brewski. No, the two step is gone, man. Y'all got the funky chicken and twerking. You saw my little dog was twerking the other day in one of them shorts I put up there. Uh, he was he was twerking. He'd come over and lick my foot and start doing that twerking, and he loved to lick my foot. Yeah, the line boot scoot and boogie, line dancing. Oh yeah, we had some interesting dancing back. We used to do the Charleston. You probably you guys never knew how to do that. We did the jitterbug. Y'all didn't do none of that. See, in the 40s and the 50s when I came up, when I was going to like in junior high school, jitterbugging was a thing to do. And then by the time in the 50s, somewhere there in the 50s, Chubber Checker came out and let's do the twist. Maybe it was early 60s. They started doing the twist. Come on, baby, let's do the twist. And everybody could twist. I mean, you could be as dumb as a rock and you could still twist. And Angelique, she hates it when a good song comes on. I'll start doing the churn. She said, "Oh, stop it! Nobody does that kind of shit." Yeah, we had some moves back in the days. But ain't nothing wrong with belt polishing either. You got a little sweet girl and laying all up on you, and polish that belt buckle with you, and you're moving real slow, and you got the lips on that neck, and woo, damn, man, that's way dancing should be when you get all up and you got them that chestal area all up on you there. Woo. But now they all stand 12 feet apart, and they'll be looking at some guy across the floor instead of looking at their mate, and be doing some stuff and uh, that ain't for me. I still like to polish a belt buckle. Got to get them up close. No, I understand times have changed. A girl now, you hold her up close and she says, you're violating my space. I need my space or I'll mace you in the face. Get out of my face. But I said, I'm trying to romance you. You're too old, you old dastardly old dude. Get on out of here. Well, people forget about where they came from. Your mother and dad and your grandfather and grandmother, they had their dancing. Hell yeah! Oh, I think Desert Outlaw. I told you about my little Mexican woman. Her and we were together for a couple of years. Hell, she took me way down in Mexico, and oh, but was she ever? I have some really good memories of those years. Them 2 years was really a bright spot in my life. I really enjoyed that. Not only is she a good cook, but boy, could she ever dance, and she had the right body. She had everything, but it wasn't meant to be. Hot in July. Yeah, we went to one of those quinceañeros down. We was down in San Antonio, Texas, and the place was just full of these. That's when I believe you turn it. That's when they give the party for when she turns 16, or but all those beauties that comes with them. I think that's the year that they turn 16, or I guess it might be when they're coming out. Maybe it's at high school. I don't remember, but I remember it's a good thing to go to. We did it San Antonio, Texas. We had some of the best parties down there. Oh, we were at the time we were at Lackland and Kelly. We were working Fort Sam Houston, so we lived up on the Austin Highway out of San Antonio. And oh my gosh, Charlie Pride, he had a bar up there we used to go to in Austin. We used to love to go to his bar. But we had a lot of Mexican workers, and we'd get invited to these things because it was probably a social event, a big social event, and it looked really good to have your boss or have somebody you're working with there, and yeah, we've had some. Oh, we had good parties in Texas. Woo, we did have some big. I went to the best one we went to was there between at Fort Worth. Yeah, it burnt down. It all burnt down. He had he had so many bars, so many bands. Oh, that was really a good time there too. We used to go to a place called Ratatouille. Ratatouille is like rat tail, and they had deep fried jalapenos, and we'd eat them things and drink so much. And uh, yeah, what was the name of that place there? Yeah, you using the word Billy Bob, and it's yeah, if it's the one we're talking about in Fort Worth, there it burned down. We used to go there a lot. Uh, it was the most popular place you could go to. All Oh, my exes live in Yukon. Well, was I right? Desert Outlaw, the Quinceanera. I can't even say the word Quinceanera. What, however you say it there, the way you spelled it there. Um, wasn't that a coming out party for a young lady when the she was brought and come out into her social graces and stuff? Yeah, 15. I knew it was somewhere around that 15, 16 years of age. Yeah, that. Well, I guess that's what it means. Okay. Um, that's cool. Uh, yeah, we went every. I used to have some lead personnel, people that had moved up in the company, and they were lead personnel. They were Hispanic, and we got invited to all of them. One time we went down on San Pedro in San Antonio, Texas, and we stopped in this bar, and oh, Frogzilla, if you're going away, buddy, good night. Thank you very much for coming and joining us. Mac at midnight. That's it. We got the midnight shift. Um, so we went to this bar, and me and this boy was from Kansas. You know, he was born and raised up there in Kansas. And when we went in, we just ordered a 6-pack to go, and we went around to the bathroom, and we had to line up there at the trough, and this guy that I was with made some kind of a disparaging remark, a very sensitive remark about Mexican people. He might have said, what did he call them? Tortilla cannibals or wetbacks, or the derogatory terms. I don't remember what he called, what he said. He said, "Have you ever seen so many effing wetbacks and all you laugh," or something like that. Well, there was a guy in the booth, right? He went, he started yelling something other than. I go, man, we're down here in San Antonio. You got to keep that kind of crap up there in Kansas. And so when we come out of that place, boy, the atmosphere, the air was pretty tense. And so we had a good time. But Monday we go in, and my lead come up to me and he said, "Hey, how was your weekend?" And we told him about all the places we went, and then told him about stopping down on San Pedro. And he said, "Oh my God, was that?" And he described the place to a T. He said, "There's more killings at that place." He said, "It's not." He said, "Our people don't go down there." And when he was talking about our people, he's talking about his fellow Mexican workers. He said, "We don't go down there." And I told him what this fellow from Kansas said, and he's, "Oh my God, you remember in that movie, Cheech and Chong, and Cheech was teaching Chung up there in East LA what to say and what not to say." And I can't remember the words he told him to say, but it was some derogatory term. And there was a couple of the Mexican guys on the street there, and he went, "Hey, Julio," and he started using that stuff that Cheech had taught him, and Cheech said, "No, man, you're gonna get us killed." Oh, oh, we did have such good times, and I enjoy it. We used to go to Mexico a lot. It was something was something that was alluring about it, because you could go down there and do shows and go and take in stuff that you ain't never seen in your life. You could go down there and I do too. In fact, as you know, you've been following me here for a while. My niece and her husband, they live on a sailboat in Mexico, and they come on and join me here. They come in every once in a while. I think their boat they have in Mexico, they're getting ready to sail, and then they're going to go to Thailand. They're going to be leaving out pretty soon to go to Thailand. And anyhow, yeah. In fact, my daughter just went down there this year. She went down to Baja um, to a big event they had down there. It wasn't the Baja 1000. It was some other kind of an event. And this lady invited her. She was a Mexican woman that could speak the language really good. So she had somebody could interpret everything. And they had a good time. Two young women down in the Baja Peninsula, good and well, they had a good time. Yeah, we used to go to a lot of cockfights right here when we was kids. In fact, one of my neighbors, just about 2 miles from here, he raises fighting chickens. He's got fighting cocks over there. He's got them all separated, and they're just bred with evil temperament. Yeah, big old stainless steel spurs. They strap them onto them, and some of them they're not allowed to. They have to use natural spurs. But I have seen them with the big stainless steel ones, and this is up in the pro division. And buddy, it's usually when they jump up in the air and that thing's a couple of times into the heart, and that makes the rooster stop. They can really spur. They're good at it. Hey, Robin, you live up in the cold North Country, where there's a lot of snow and ice. Have you seen that new Italian tire that they're starting to sell down at Walmart? It's made in Italy. It's for off road or bad treacherous driving conditions. Have you seen that new Italian tire? Hello, hello, Robin. Okay, the Italians brought out a new winter tire, and I don't know if it's ever going to take off anywhere outside the South, but it's really a popular down here. Uh, the wording on the thing when they show the tire up there, it says, "They go through snow, they go through mud, but when they go flat, they go wop 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 wop." Uh, okay, I got a chuckle out of that. Okay, that's only can be sold here in redneck country. It's probably won't never be a hit in Canada. Yeah, I got me a set of them Dagos, man. Them Dagos, they go through snow, they go through mud, but when they go flat, they go wop 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 wop. You gotta put the accent with it. Somebody they'll write YouTube and you go, that man is just a bigot. He's a bigot for sure. That's one thing about being almost 85, going on 85. This is my year of 85. Is you can say almost anything. They go, oh, he's just an old man. He don't mean no harm. He's such a joker. Uh, well, I guess all them horses are out. Let's see, it's high noon or about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They're out riding. It's Saturday over there already. They're probably queuing up a kangaroo. Yeah, queuing up a roo, putting a roo on the Barbie. I watched Dave here back in the summer right out there. He rode a ways out away from Perth, and he cooked him some roo right on the side of the road. He then grilled him up some roo. That's uh, that is so Australian. And our neighbor, they're all gone now. All them people, everybody I know out here is all gone now. They're all it's finished. My neighbor got the hankering idea of becoming an entrepreneur. And so she had read about emu oil was $30, $40 an ounce, or maybe higher. Emu oil. They're like a ostrich. So she ordered her 8 of them, and they delivered them in this big van and put them in her perfectly designed pasture where they couldn't escape. She had like a 40-acre place just for them. It only took them a day or two, and they jumped over the fence and came over. And my wife was trying to round them up out here in our yard. She had a dishpan full of bird seed trying to get the ostrich, the emu to eat out of the pan, and she was going to grab it by the neck and hold on to it. And uh, I bet there was a nickname for all those truck drivers driving those Volvos with the leaking roofs. Yeah, probably had a name for them. Anyhow, so when we called them and they came over my property and they was able to round them up and get them back over there in the corral. And I said, "What are you going to do with the emus?" I thought she maybe was going to like dress them out and eat emu tenderloin or something. And she said, "Oh no, we're going to harvest the emu oil." Her name was I'm not going to call her name because some of her relatives are still alive. Um, I explained to her the only way they could get the oil out of the emu is by killing it. And she said, "No." She said, "No, there's a gland back there in the back, like a chicken's got that thing on the back where the feathers are. You can milk that gland and get the oil." I go, "No, honey, it don't work that way." So I brought it up on the computer and it showed how they had to render out the emu oil. And that was the end of that. Well, I know if there's driving a truck and they had a lot of hair and a towel would not be big enough to cover it because a lot of leaks in the roof, they'd get a sheet and put a sheet around the head. And a lot of the other drivers refer to them as sheet heads. Yeah, a sheethead. This guy wanted to travel over to that distant land where they got a lot of sand, and he wanted to see that all for himself. So they said, "Hey, you got to take this safari. You got to take and go on this caravan and ride the camels, and it's a wonderful thing. It's like a 7 day journey." He said, "But let me tell you this: when you go out, and after the third day, for you to get enough water to make it the last 4 days trip, you have to brick your camel." And he said, "How do you brick a camel?" He said, "Well, at the watering hole where they're at, there's usually adobe brick around." And he said, when they kneel down to get their water, you can watch their sides and you can see just about when they're finished. And you take the two bricks and you pop them against their nuts, and that makes them suck in more water, enough to be able to get the last 4 days. And the guy said, "Well, don't that hurt?" He said, "Only if you get your thumbs between the bricks." The other guy went over there and he said, "No, we don't do the bricking thing." He said, "Well, how do you do it?" He said, "How we do it is your camel herder, he'll come over and he'll take the camel's head. Hello, Joyce. Joyce is up this late at night. Oh my gosh, she's up this late." So said the herder, the camel herder, will take the head and hold it over there. And what you do as you get back in the back and you raise its tail and you suck real good on its butt, and it pulls in more water. It pulls all that water in. He said, "Oh my God, that sounds gross." He said, "No, it's not as bad as you think it's going to be." So he said, "I'll give it a try." So the camel herdsman took the camel's head and got it down there, and it started drinking. And so the guy gets on and he's sucking and he's sucking and he's sucking. And pretty soon he started getting stuff in his mouth. He started spitting it out. He said, "Hey man, pull its head up a little bit. I think it's sucking up mud." Well, Joyce, tell me, how's everything up in Washington? Yeah. Well, at least life is normal there. And there is Cunny. Oh, that's nice. I saw six temperature today was 67 degrees, and I was at 31, and he was 67. Ah, what a difference in temperature. it's a habit. Say, well, how was your weather there in Washington? Then, because you know what the answer is going to be. I lived there 40 years, so I lived in the Northwest for 40 years, and I'm quite familiar about how the weather can be. Now, knowing it's cold right now, no, it snowed at 8 o'clock tonight. It ain't snowing. It hasn't snowed any after 8. It sleeted almost all day today. It built up pretty good. Got pretty good build up. It's going to be frozen tomorrow, but Monday it's going to be 52 degrees. Yeah, that's what it was over there in Clear. And it was 67 at Six House today. I saw on his weather. Whatever you do, do not ask Robin. I'll make you uncomfortable. Do not ask what his weather is like because he'll tell you about how he walked to school uphill with snow up to his navel, naked, every day of his life, uphill both ways. Well, you live up in that, up there, what they call the Great White Northwest, Great White North. Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, the two brothers. Remember the two brothers on that had they was always drinking Molson Canadian and eating back bacon. The two brothers. He wasn't only barefoot; he was naked. He had what they call southern exposure, and they liked it. Yeah, Doug McKenzie's. That's right. Bob and Doug McKenzie brother. Yeah, they always eating that back bacon and drinking Molson Canadian. So one time we flew to Lake Tasunia, way up in British Columbia, an 8-hour flight by airplane up there. And so we got up to Rivers Inlet in British Columbia. That's the port of entry for aircraft. We landed. Oh my gosh, you were leaving us desert. Good seeing you, buddy. Come back when you can. Well, anyhow, we landed in Rivers Inlet and we picked up 4 cases of Molson Canadian beer. And well, we flew out of Rivers Inlet and we got the longest portion of the flight to go yet. And so we're on our third bottle of beer. Me and this guy named Floyd Prater, he was sitting in the back seat with his son, and we were handing beers back and forth. Now we're on our third bottle of beer, And the pilot said, I don't think I would drink that. I said, why is it against the law? I didn't know. I'm sitting up there next to him, you know. He was flying and I was sitting there in that yoke going back and forth. And he said, no. He said, you got more than 4 hours from here flying time. And so we said, we're men. We can handle it. Well, at about an hour, Floyd said, hey, ask him, what do you do if you really have to go? So I asked the pilot, I said, what if a guy really has to go, do you have any kind of provision? Because you know it's a long flight. He said, under that seat is a garbage bag. So I got out a garbage bag and I handed it back to Floyd. Well, Floyd peed in it and then he passed it over to his son and his son peed in it. Well, they handed it back up to me. Now it's got like a quart of pee in it. So I set it on the floorboard. And the more that thing waved back and forth, the plane was rocking and rolling going across the Canadian Rockies there. So it was rocking and rolling like this. And that used recycled beer is down there floating in the garbage bag. I began to get a craving to go myself. So, all right, I pulled the bag over to me and I took it out and started a stream. Well, the plane fell like 400 feet. Well, I mean, you know, everything floats for a moment. That urine come up in that bag. And then, you know, when we dropped, we hit the bottom down there and it rose back up real fast. It was just riding on those air currents. We was in a Cherokee 6. And oh my God, it took me forever, but I got the job done. And about the time I got the top of the bag tied, the door popped open. So we had to ride the rest of the way up there with the door making all kinds of racket, wind blowing. It was a lot of fun. That was quite an adventure. We stayed a week up there at a Canadian, as a guest of the Canadian government at Lake Tsunya. It was wonderful. They processed all of our fish for us and bagged them, and so we could fly them back home. Well, let me see. Theo's over there asleep. Colton is in the other room in there. He's asleep. I made them up rice, and I cooked their rice and stuff today for them. I put pork in it, and they love pork. Ooh, they eat a big pan of it tonight. Well, there's still quite a bit left in there, but good eaters. Well, Robin, what's happened to all our Aussie friends? They're all have they abandoned us, or are they I'm surprised that Rod ain't in here tonight, or Dave, or because it's only in the afternoon over there. Tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon. Well, looks like it's the signal is starting to do some weird things. I see the conversation, the texting has slowed down. If I make it for 9 more minutes, I'm going to shut her down at 9 minutes. But we'll see if we can make it last for 9 more minutes. It may go off before my 9 minutes is up. Whoa. Well, it may have stopped on me altogether now. I have no way of knowing. I don't know if my microphone is working. Maybe I'm not even hearing me. I don't know. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Damn, look at that. Mm-mm-mm. I had to go into. It showed I had no signal. My Wi-Fi is almost non-existent, but there's enough for a picture. But I went in and I changed. I'm not too strong. Okay. I don't know how to make myself any stronger. Well, it shows I've got. Well, I'm only just a few inches from the microphone, so. Okay. Hello, Rod. You came in while I was trying to get the thing back to running. But I don't know how to make it any stronger or any louder, or there's nothing. I don't have a written instruction book on how to run this thing, so. It was just odd. It just started. I saw the. I told it. I told him. I said, "Look like my signal's starting to go bad." And sure enough, the audio went away. And hello, Mr. Bailey. I saw David made it back to over back to Perth. He was at the Harley dealership today looking at all them new bikes. I have no fans in this room. None. Zero. Nada. Zero. I don't know. I don't know. Could it probably be? It'd probably be in the spring. Um, I'm still recovering from the last trip, not for you, but when I went up to see Joyce. Uh, we got to we got so many things we got to do. Um, I got to put the truck in the shop and have the tires rotated on it. Well, good night, Rod. I'm sorry. I understand you got some rain, so you probably need the rain, but I'm sorry that it's making too much noise. Yeah, I don't have any, there's no noise in here. Good seeing you, Rod. give OCR love when you speak with him. Let him know that lots of people in America is pulling for him. Oh, good. Well, I don't have any way. I don't have. I can't turn my on my sound system. I can't turn the audio up and down. You literally have to go into Microsoft into my sound card, and I can increase the sound up and down in the sound card. When I went away a while ago, I had to go. I was going off the screen, went in, and changed, checked to make sure that the audio, but it looked like it was running good. And yeah, I don't see in StreamYard, I could change my volume up and down. The only control I have on my volume now is inside the computer. And so I don't have on my camera here, I don't have any volume control. So I can turn the volume off. I mean, turn the audio off, but I can't control how loud it is, or I can't, it's automatically set up to produce audio. Why would I be afraid of dying? I wasn't afraid of being born. And hell, I didn't know what was ahead of me then. I don't know what's is to come. So how could I conjure up any notion of fear? Yeah. No, I have to make an effort to turn my audio on. That means I have to go out of here, go into the computer, and over there on the control panel, where the control panel is, I can go to my audio settings. So I'd have to turn all this stuff here off. It went off while I was talking. Y'all said your lips are moving, but we can't hear you. Um, I don't know about the afterlife. I have no clue. There's people that's got um, their interpretations of the afterlife, but what is that to fear? That's an unknown. I don't I don't worry about a star falling and hitting me and killing me, or no, there ain't nothing to fear. You you can conjure up notions of stuff, but what is to be is to be. There's no ain't no turning back at this point. I don't know. My signal, my Wi-Fi signal, was almost non-existent. So I'm thinking when it went down really low, it affected the audio, but it kept some resemblance of a picture. And y'all said the picture looked good. Yeah, we were just talking, and all of a sudden I went away. I wasn't fiddling with knobs. I don't have any knobs to fiddle with, but I can go down on my taskbar, go to my control panel, go to the audio settings, but this camera has its own microphones and it has its own pre-programmed program to run this camera. Now, when I run StreamYard, I had control over the microphone. I could actually go over in the settings and control the audio, loud, higher, lower, whatever. I, I, my, I've never lived in hell here. I've had, not on earth. I wouldn't even know the concept of it because um, I had tried to avoid the things that would make my life miserable or bad. I, I guess if I was ever in pain, I would probably, I would feel the suffering, I'm sure, but whatever. I expected it was going to go off because I seen some stuff happening on the screen there. And I go, looks like we have an audio issue here or something other than that. All of a sudden, audio went away, but I expected the picture to go away first. Um, no, my life has been good. I don't, I've had a good life. I've been blessed. I don't have any really health issues. I've got some health issues now, but um, that's to be expected. I got out and rode my motorcycle today in the snow, and that was a lot of fun. Money can't buy you happiness. No, money can't buy you happiness because I have been the happiest I've ever been when I was extremely poor. I mean, I found things to love in my poorest of states. When things was really, we were economically depressed back in the 40s. I loved the snow and I loved the steam train that went by our house. I loved everything. There was just so many things to love. I loved all the flowers. I loved the springtime. And I loved the knowledge that was there for the taking. It was just laying out before you to gather up and to use. Well, I've lost four. I've lost four wives. It was meant to be. Um, I could never, no matter how much I loved Ruth, I could not have made her live one day longer. No, life cycles. Everybody got a life cycle, and to answer your question, Robin, is if you think about your demise, you're finished when you're gone. I rarely ever think about stuff like that, but to be honest, um, there's nothing you can do about it. They, you can just kind of hope you don't suffer a lot. And suffering is a temporary thing, and I mean, all pain goes away. But I loved all my women. Every one of them. They all had something special. They brought me quality life. I mean, everybody has disputes. Everybody has issues, but that's all part of the life experience. The whole gamut of the love and the loss, and I just look at this is the experience I'm supposed to have. I I'm not going to let myself worry about it one way or the other. I've been in bed over there when I felt that I was going to expire. I believed this was it, but there was never any fear. How can I fear something I don't even know about? Oh, think about loneliness. What about it? The people that would be lonely for me after I'm gone, those that would cry for my loss. I hate to bring that burden onto them, but hell, that's just, I ain't gonna be a lot of people crying, I can tell you that. But I'm giving myself a little bit of boost of ego, but in reality, hell, I'm just another dead sucker. I'm gone. I'll be finished. I'll be out of here. They go, oh yeah, he died real good. Yeah, he died good. It's just whenever the time comes. And everybody have their own uh, approach to the hereafter. It won't be for me to say one way or the other because I don't know about that stuff. I've read things, but I don't. Nobody's ever talked to me that's already went and came back and said, "Oh, hell, Jerry, you got let me tell you, buddy, woo, you're going to be in for a surprise." Oh, I've had almost the end to come a few times, but it didn't. I love living. I'm gonna tell you, I get up in the morning, I thank God. I go, oh man, I love the idea of getting up and being able to walk, and I go, whoa, that's good. Because sometimes I didn't know when the darkness would come up on me at night whether or not they would be a tomorrow. But I didn't go to bed crying about it or worrying about it. No, I have no. If I was going to make a long trip, say up to my sister's house, well, I know that's a long drive, and I can plan, anticipate exactly how I'm going to do the trip, how I'm going to go, how I'm going to come, how I'm going to plan everything. But there's not a planning stage. There's not a. I can't prep myself. I can't, like, wow, I gotta. I'm in my death mode right now. Yeah, this is gonna be. That's gonna be good. Uh, I don't know that. Well, I held Ruth until the moment she died. My sister Joyce was on the phone with me, and she took her last breath. I closed her eyes, and she left me. That was it. Hers was over with, and I'm gonna tell you, she was at peace when she left. She did not have no, like none of that stuff, you know. No, when they say they died peacefully, Ruth did not have a look of panic. I spoke to her just an hour or so before her death. We talked openly about we knew that she would not last the day. They told me she wouldn't last 24 hours. She didn't make it 24 hours, but so I talked with her about, I prayed with her. She didn't seem to comprehend it one way or the other, but it made me feel better. But as far as being at peace, she was more at peace than I was because, see, I was going to be left here alive, and she was already over to wherever she was, her journey was going to take her. Thomas, I'm sorry if you're having any kind of issues, life threatening issues. I would not ever make light of anybody. I know the passing thing is our permanent thing. It's serious, but I can't allow myself to take it serious because I have hope that I'm going to go on forever. We know in 1952, I was told in school about the bell curve. This is called the bell curve. If you're born right here and you climb through your life cycle, you reach the pinnacle, the peak of the bell curve. And at my time, since I was born in 1940, as I rose up here, my top of the bell curve was at 67 years. So when I reached 67, I thought of it as being at the top of the bell curve. And every day after that, as it slides down the other side, I'm down here at almost 85. I'm way over on the other side of the bell curve. So, in knowing going into each day that you're on the other side of the bell curve, blood vessel will break in the brain, you're gone. That heart, it quits beating, you're gone. Your liver starts to fail you, your kidneys start to fail you. You can be gone. But you can't sit around and humped up about it because you do, it drive you insane because you'd probably want the end to come quicker so you wouldn't have to worry about it as long, or you would hope that the end never comes so you never have to face the consequences of the end, or you simply be at peace with it. It's just a number. I watched my mother die, and I went to see my mother's husband when he was dying, and I went and got a minister to talk to him. I asked him, did he want one? And he did, and we went and got one, and he talked to him. Um, Death is guaranteed. It's not. I don't think it's something you should be frightened about. You certainly wasn't scared about coming here because you didn't even know it. You was in the darkness, and all of a sudden there was light, and the light was good, and it was you. The light shined on you, and you brought happiness and you brought light to everybody that you knew in your life. Sometimes your light was brighter to some than others, but your light also lit the way for others to experience life and be a part of that life. When you took a mate, when you took a wife, took a husband, took a whatever, a lover, when your children are born, there's all those nice, beautiful lights that come in that part of your life. You came from darkness, and when the lights go out, you'll return to the darkness. I wasn't afraid about being in the dark when I was not born, and I never had to fear as we live through our life. I've been scared of stuff, you know. I don't want to be snake bit. I don't want to be shot or stabbed or that kind of stuff. But I didn't lay around all day harboring or worried about a fear of it's going to happen. I just try to prevent it from happening. They are a lot of conjured up fear of judgment. But in my belief and in my feeling, you can square up that judgment as you go along through life. So the judgment ain't stacked up on top. You don't just keep building up more and more and more. You do something wrong and you correct that wrong. I think it balances the field. Hello, Toga. We've been having a little bit of issues here with my audio. Have been going in and out. It went completely away. I had to go in and reboot the system. That's what I did. I went in and rebooted it. It said to reboot, and then it came back and it came back up on the screen and allowed me to join back where I left off. So even though and StreamYard, sometime when you'd reboot, it would take you out and you'd have to start all over again. I didn't have to do that here on YouTube. It says I've been on for 2 hours and 37 minutes. And see, I was off. I had completely took the stream down while you guys were talking and went in and did some things. Just don't give it a lot of thought, and don't judge yourself. Men can be as worst judge. You tend to you can tend to stack up stuff and judge yourself over your overall performance and everything, but um, just don't let it build up on you. Don't, try to find a way that you can get relief so none of that stuff will bother you one way or the other. Yeah, yeah. We've had a lot of problems on StreamYard with echoing and doubling up. And well, thank you very much. Well, I'm surprised the signal held up this long. Toga, I think I will. I've been on for 2 hours and 39 minutes. Um, I really, I really need to get over and challenge that bed. uh, challenge it to see if which one of us is going to win tonight. It's been pretty cold in here at night, so I've been running the heat. But I may not have to have the heat tonight because I think it's going to start warming up. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be out. It's going to be warmer. Monday it's going to be 52 degrees. So I think I will go ahead and get off here. I need to get my socks off my feet and give my foot a little bit of massage. I got some of that cream I like to put on my feet to soothe the dry skin. Oh, if your concern is about Judgment Day and your hereafter and all that kind of stuff, just well, good night, Joyce, and good night, Connie. I'm going to sign off here too. Just don't let it kill you. The concern and worry about the hereafter. Um, you'll face that when the time comes. Can you imagine? Can you imagine inside your mother's womb? You're up inside that womb, but you had enough of brain power to be able to see 85 years in the future. You wouldn't want to come out. You go, hell no. Keep that flapper shut. I ain't wanting out of here. Because it ain't a pretty picture. You didn't just actually you didn't get to be almost 85 years of age by accident. You had your bruises and your bumps and life cycles and changes and and every obstacle men could put in front of you. I mean, if I had been born very wealthy, the issues would be probably less of a burden getting through life. But being born on the very poor end of the scale and have to struggle your way through life, not even knowing how you're going to make it to where you're at, and to make it 85 years, it's an achievement. I pride myself on living this long, and I'm hoping for some more time. I'm not I'm not ready to kiss it goodbye either, but you got to be practical, and you got to realize that when your time comes, it's all over with, and don't even worry about it. Because, like I say, if you'd have started worrying 85 years ago inside your mother's womb, you wouldn't even came here. So just be thankful that you don't have to worry about, you didn't have to worry about getting here, and you certainly do not have to worry about leaving here, because it's guaranteed you are going to leave here. And why work yourself up into a frenzy about it? If you got loved ones and you got real bad health issues, square their lives away the best you can to do what you need to do so that they won't suffer as much after you're gone. But don't let your personal feelings get involved in your own life or death, and drag yourself down worrying about it, because ain't nothing you can do about it. Just accept. Look at this face right here. You don't see this all wrinkled up in here, because I don't sit around. Oh, I ain't gonna allow it to happen. I have a lot of pain, but I ain't gonna let it slow me down. Love each and every one of you. Yeah, from the moment you're born, you're dying. That's right. You're heading towards the expiration date. There's no guarantee when that's going to occur, but hell, don't give it no thought. And you guys are too young to be even talking about this kind of shit. This is stuff that old people do, sitting around an old folks' home, talk about dying and whining and crying and all that bullshit. No, don't let it rob you of living. Death can be so negative, and if you let it, it can consume you. And good night, folks. God bless you. Love you. And we're out of here.